The time is precisely 6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Chandima Virakon. Headlines. Pregnant mothers will be given Sinopharm vaccine from Wednesday. Construction of new expressway and flyovers begin. Several private banks will be closed for normal banking services for 1 week. Floods recede with the reduction in rains. In news overseas, Indian states start reopening amid dip in COVID cases. In sports, teenager Yuka Saso becomes the first Filipino player to win a majority victory in the US Women's Open. Local stories in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has requested the global business community to invest in Sri Lanka. The president mentioned this while addressing the inaugural ceremony of the Sri Lanka Investment Forum 2021 Investment Summit today. The president said that the government has a target of achieving a gross domestic product of $8,000 by 2030. It has been organized jointly by the Sri Lanka Board of Investment, Ceylon Chamber of Commerce and Sri Lanka Stock Exchange. Representatives of 65 countries are taking part in the summit online, which will be held until Wednesday. The Ministry of Health says that Sinopharm vaccine will be given to pregnant mothers from Wednesday. The vaccines will be given initially to pregnant women in Piliyandala, Colombo. 450,000 Sinopharm vaccines have been allocated for elders, pregnant women and field officers in 12 districts. Meanwhile, vaccination has commenced in another 13 districts. They are Matale, Patiklo, Trincomalee, Ampara, Polonnaruwa, Kurunegala, Puttalam, Monaragala, Nuwara Eliya, Hambantota, Anuradhapura, Badulla and Kagalla. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa unveiled the elevated highway project in the new Kalani Bridge to Athurugiriya, as well as the construction of flyovers to alleviate heavy traffic congestion in Colombo and Kandy today. The launch of the projects took place at Temple Trees with a small group of invited guests using Zoom technology, while adhering to health regulations. Flyovers will be constructed at Kohuala Junction and Gatambe Junction, while 2 overhead bridges will be built near the Slave Island Railway Station in Justice Akbar Mawatha and Uttarananda Mawatha. A flyover will be constructed across Beira Lake and Slave Island to the Baladaksha Mawatha and another connecting Chittampalam e Gardina Mawatha. The construction of the elevated highway from the new Kalani Bridge to Athurugiriya by the China Harbour Engineering Company is to be completed in 36 months. Officials say today the death toll from floods and mudslides following heavy rains in Sri Lanka rose to 17 with another 2 missing. 10 districts in the island have been under heavy rainfall since last Thursday, including Colombo and suburbs where many houses, paddy fields and roads have been inundated. A total of 88 Divisional Secretariat divisions have been affected. According to the Disaster Management Centre, 10 people have died in floods, while another 7 lost their lives in mudslides. The Disaster Management Centre said the extreme weather has affected some 271,110 people belonging to over 67,000 families, and over 26,800 persons remain displaced in 104 emergency shelters. In addition to this, around 22,932 persons belonging to 5,700 families are staying in homes of relatives. More than 800 houses have been damaged. The Disaster Management Centre says that floods are decreasing with the reduction in rains. Providing relief to the affected people is continuing. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa advised officials recently to provide relief immediately to flood victims through district secretariats. Accordingly, funds have been allocated on the intervention of Treasury Secretary. Meanwhile, the Irrigation Department said water levels of many reservoirs are returning to normal level. The water level of Kalani and Kalu rivers and Attanagalu Oya has decreased considerably. The National Building Research Organisation said that landslide warnings issued to Colombo, Galle, Gampaha, Kalutara, Kandy, Kagalla, Matale, Nuwara Eliya and Ratnapura districts have been extended until this evening. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Receive early cash advances and an unmatchable bonus at maturity from Sri Lanka Insurance Early Cash.
Continuing with the local stories, the Criminal Investigation Department has formed a special team of officers to take action against the propagation of false news on social media platforms. Police media spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana said this pertains to misinformation regarding COVID-19 or any other sensitive issue. The team will identify and take stern action against those who create and share such false information. He said the CID has been instructed to deploy a special team in order to patrol in the cyberspace to get information about such fake news. Sri Lanka Navy has deployed 32 relief teams in flood relief operations in the districts of Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara, Galle and Ratnapura. Meanwhile, the Navy teams continue to attend urgent relief operations, focusing on the flood-affected communities today as well. To end the local news, the headlines again. Pregnant mothers will be given Sinopharm vaccine from Wednesday. Construction of new expressway and flyovers begin. Several private banks will be closed for normal banking services for 1 week. Floods recede with reduction in rains. That ends local news.
Finished? You have 1 more hour to write the exam.
Yes, sir. Always early.
Receive early cash advances and an unmatchable bonus at maturity from Sri Lanka Insurance Early Cash.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On the main news story, a new circular has removed the barrier of obtaining leave for pregnant employees of the health sector who report to work amidst the COVID-19 risk. The Ministry of Health informs that the Directives of Public Administration Circular number 2 of 2021-11 dated 10th May 2021 should apply for pregnant women working in the health sector. However, pregnant employees who are aware of their professional responsibilities and wish to continue working voluntarily have the opportunity to serve in the sections of their institutions or hospitals where there is no risk of COVID-19. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, several leading private banks in the country will be closed for normal banking services for a period of a week from today. The decision has been taken considering the travel restrictions imposed in the country. Accordingly, branch networks of Commercial, Sampath, Ceylon, DFCC, Nations Trust, Amana and Union Banks will remain closed during the coming week. However, Hatton National Bank stated that their branches will only be closed on the 8th and 9th of June. That ends Watchlight. We move on to world news, the headlines. Indian states start reopening amid dip in COVID cases. Many killed as 2 trains collide in southern Pakistan. A little-known automaker in China dominates the world's largest electric car market. Major Indian states that have been virus hotspots are easing restrictions as COVID case numbers continue to fall. National capital Delhi and financial hub Mumbai are among the cities that are opening partially. This comes in the wake of a crushing second wave that saw hospital beds, medicines and even oxygen run short as cases spiked and deaths rose. But experts continue to advise precaution amid a lagging vaccine drive and the threat posed by new variants. At least 33 people have been killed and more than 120 injured after a train collision near the southern Pakistani town of Dalki, with rescue work still underway to find survivors trapped in the debris. The collision took place today morning near the town of Darki, about 440 kilometers north of Pakistan's largest city of Karachi. Since last July, a little-known automaker in China's southwest has dominated the world's largest electric car market, outselling bigger players and even Tesla Incorporated. Almost every month with a tiny bare-bones EV that starts at just $4,500. The Hongguang Mini is the brainchild of SAIC GM Wuling Automobile Corporation, a joint venture between SAIC Motor Corporation and Guangxi Automobile Group of Companies, two state-backed automakers and US giant General Motors Company. To end the world news, the headlines again. Indian states start reopening amid dip in COVID cases. Many killed as two trains collide in southern Pakistan. A little-known automaker in China dominates the world's largest electric car market. That ends world news. And on development news, 5 million rupees have been allocated to develop rural irrigation networks in the Galle district. Irrigation Department's Galle District Office said 80 irrigation systems in the rural areas are to be developed. The district office said that development activities of 50 irrigation systems have been completed. And on sports news, it's cricket, golf and boxing. In cricket news, Sri Lanka's national cricket team players have agreed to sign the tour declaration and participate in the upcoming England series. The annual contracts issue is to be resolved after the England tour. Sri Lanka is scheduled to tour England for 3 T20s, followed by 3 ODIs, starting from June 23rd. In a Twitter message, Sports Minister Namal Rajapaksa has said that players should also give priority to the country, although payments are important. And in golf news, teenager Yuka Saso became the first Filipino player to win a major victory in the U.S. Women's Open at the Olympic Club in San Francisco. Saso, aged 19, beat Japan's Nasa Hatoka on the third hole of a sudden death play-off after they tied on 4 under par. American Lexi Thompson missed a putt on the 18th to get into the playoff. Saso matched South Korea's Inbi Park to the day as the youngest champion at the Women's Games' oldest major. And in boxing, it was the coolest thing ever, said YouTuber Logan Paul after going the distance with unbeaten former 5-weight world champion Floyd Mayweather. Their 8-round exhibition bout at Miami's Hard Rock Stadium did not have a winner. There were no judges at ringside and the fight did not count for either fighter's record. Mayweather dominated the pay-per-view event without landing a knockout blow. That ends sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Savings account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
On business news, a working committee was established recently to advise the Ministry of Tourism and Civil Aviation on the countries that should be placed on the red list, so that Sri Lanka has minimal imported COVID-19 cases. In addition to providing advice on which countries' travel restrictions should be imposed, the committee will also provide insights into streamlining the travel ban process. That ends business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Savings account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And on economic news, Sri Lanka's unit trust industry, which began to attract funds in large numbers with the fall in market interest rates, continued to add assets during April, which helped the industry to surpass 200 billion rupees in the assets under management. The 5 largest funds added 6.7 billion rupees in fresh assets in April, reversing 2.1 billion rupees of decline seen in March, reflecting that the industry's sharp ascent since last year is not yet over.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And finally on the weather report, the Met Department says temporary enhancement of showery condition over southwestern part of the island is likely during next 2 days. Showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces and in the Galle, Matara, Nuwara Eliya and Kandy districts. Fairly heavy falls above 75 millimeters can be expected at some places. Several spells of showers will occur in Mana district. Showers or thunder showers will occur at a few places in the Uva and eastern provinces during the evening or at night. That ends the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And to end this bulletin of news, the headlines again. Pregnant mothers will be given Sinopharm vaccine from Wednesday. Construction of new expressway and flyovers begin. Several private banks will be closed for normal banking services for 1 week. Floods recede with reduction in rains. In news overseas, Indian states start reopening amid dip in COVID cases. In sports news, golf, teenager Yuka Sasu becomes the first Filipino player to win a major victory in the US Women's Open.